LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
So you're giving it to Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he piggybacked off of his dad's name. The only difference was because there was a junior at the end and not a
yes,
C.
Yes, and
okay.
because the fact is, Drew, point with, oh my God,
I had Miami Heat winning last night. I was upset too when they lost this with you because of the fact of what you.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the In or Out sports debate with your hosts,
Joseph Raymond
and Drew Willingham.
Hello, everyone. We are live with another edition of the In or Out Sports Debate. I am your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's special returning guest. He is an avid alumni of the Virginia Tech Hokies, and one of my friends, he is Joey Raymond. Welcome back to the show, my man.
What up?
Man,
how we doing?
Back. Hey, man, doing great. You know, we have an all MLB edition for this evening. I had a baseball banquet with my baseball team today, so it was definitely a fun time. So it's been an all baseball kind of day for me from like 3 o'clock, 3:30 on till now. So thank you for pushing the time back with me, so that way I could have some time with them. I'll do that and to be here this evening for episode 43 now of the In or Out Sports Debate. We definitely have to acknowledge, with that being said, the people who have been here in the past for this show. Let's go ahead and acknowledge the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man, Drew Willingham.
And that's right. That is the Vault of Fame. We are in episode 43. But up next tomorrow, we have the best of episodes 26 through 30 for volume 6 of the In or Out Sports Debate. When you also can check that out after that, Double Debate Tuesday following that the next day with episode 44 at 3:30 p.m. Eastern with Brian Snow of Snowman in the Morning, followed by that evening with James Brown of the LegacyMaker Sports Network with episode 45. You can check all this out here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network's handles listed here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, as well as TikTok coming soon at LegacyMakerSports.com, followed by the In or Out Sports Debate Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch handles. You can also listen on the audio platforms listed here with Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and download on iTunes. But most importantly, we are here with episode 45 with my man, Joey Raymond. Everyone, welcome to this episode. We've got a jam-packed MLB episode for you guys. Let's go ahead and take this into round one.
Round one.
And here with round one, next year's MLB schedule of all 30 teams playing each other in a season for the first time in the interleague play era will impact the playoff races. How do you feel about this, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this?
I am in. So first and foremost, I feel like with the fact that division opponents play each other less next season, I feel like those games matter a significant amount more. You think about like even the American League East right now where, the Orioles, who we'll talk more about a bit later, They're only 2.5 games back, right behind the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Blue Jays are right in that mix too. So if they play each other less, those games are going to matter more in the long run, which means that, the fact that they play each other less is going to impact that playoff race. But not only that, but you're going to have teams, that are interleague play matchups that are going to affect, who's going to get into the playoffs. And I am really excited, especially with the new playoff format and the fact that, one more team gets in. Like it definitely is going to be very entertaining to watch baseball next year and watch where everybody kind of lays out at the end of the year.
I agree with this too. I'm in on this as well. When it comes to division play, like what Joey was saying, it's going to be impacted severely because you're going to go from playing each other in a division 19 times individually in the division to 13. You're going to be missing 6 games within that total games of the division. That's going to impact these playoff races because divisional games are what definitely impacts the league when it comes to these things at the end of the year when it comes to playoff races. So with all that being said, I have to give the nod with this and agree with Joey. I'm in on this because when you have 30 teams in the league, and you only play each other but so many times, it's a 162 game schedule. Every single game counts, and it definitely has a lot more impact and counts a lot more now that you're going from playing the divisional players 19 times within a season to 13.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be fun to be able to see a lot of other teams in other ballparks. Like I've been trying to go see Shohei Ohtani play for God knows how long, but the Angels, they're never anywhere remotely close to Virginia, which makes it really tough to go see him. Mike Trout doesn't get to travel a lot. I mean, I know he plays on the same team, but, like a lot of those teams, like if they do play over here, they play over here like one time a year. And so, everybody's going to have a significant amount more time and exposure in other markets, which I think is great for the support, great for the sport. I think it's going to be great to add fans that, may not be, on board because they can't see, whatever team or the best players in the league. Because that's important that everybody gets to see the best that the MLB has to offer. So I love this rule change. I thought that should have been a thing years ago. I'm really glad they did it. I'm really excited to see a lot of the teams come closer to me personally. It's going to be fun. It is going to be a lot of fun.
I feel like it's going to be impacting the way that they coach these teams too, in a sense, because instead of letting one guy go an extra inning or two longer because he's pitching well, we need to save that arm because we've only got so many divisional matchups. We need to make sure we make these count.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you're going to coach the games that aren't versus those divisional opponents a little bit differently. And it's going to make kind of like a playoff atmosphere, especially with games in like September, because, when you have the 40-man roster up and available in September, those last second division opponents, like those games are going to matter so much, because they're going to be what determines, who gets what in the playoffs. Because, I mean, even like who gets home field advantage is going to be a huge deal in this upcoming season.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch when, the 2023 season comes around. We still have a good amount of time left in the month of September and in this season to see some things as we're going to be talking about up next when it comes to round 2 and a team that you are very familiar with. Let's go ahead and take it into round 2 right quick.
Round 2.
And when it comes to round 2, the Baltimore Orioles have a legitimate shot at earning the 3rd AL wildcard spot this season. How do you feel about this, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this?
I am in. Okay, so the reason I'm pretty familiar with the Orioles is not necessarily because I'm an Orioles fan, as we could tell with the last podcast. I'm a Cubs fan, but in my hometown of Virginia Beach, Virginia, just outside of it in Norfolk, is the Norfolk Tides. who are the AAA farm club of the Baltimore Orioles. So I've gotten to see a lot of the minor league prospects kind of go through there, as well as here where I live now in Salem, we have the single A affiliate for the Red Sox, and they play the Orioles affiliate all the time. So you get to see a lot of those players come up. And so this Orioles franchise, the way that they have built the team, I don't love tanking. I never have loved tanking, but if you're going to do it, following what the Orioles did and following their example is not a bad idea because they have done a fantastic job. They are going to make the playoffs this year. I firmly believe it. They are hot right now. In the last 10 games, they're 7-3. They are winning a lot lately. They're learning how to play as a team. They, have added Adley Rutschman, who is one of the best, if not the best, young catchers we have seen in a minute, as well as they just called up Gunnar Henderson, who is the number one prospect for the Baltimore Orioles. They are infusing really young, really good talent in a lineup that was already really good. The Orioles are only going to get better. They're only going to play better. They're only going to learn how to play as a team better. And they have that underdog mentality of like, no one believes in us. And because of that, we have to prove them wrong. I love this team. On paper, I love this team in their mentality, and I really do believe that they're going to be a playoff team, and we're possibly talking World Series contender, not this year. I don't believe this year, but within the next 5 years, we're talking there's possibly going to be a World Series trophy lifted in Baltimore.
That is going to be a soundbite. Potentially, I might have to save my arsenal. My man here is definitely putting them on that higher end of the totem pole for the next half decade. We shall see. With this, I'm going to go into... All right, so when we break it down, guys, with the wild cards, we have Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, who are in those top 3 spots. Baltimore is right there at 4, just outside of it at 2.5 games. There's still plenty of time left in this season, like 27 to 28 games. Some maybe 26, depending on who's had a chance to play all their games, who's had some rainouts. I mean, some people have a little bit more than others throughout the rest of this month, but when it comes to the Orioles, when it comes to the AL East, they're 8.5 games out of the lead of the AL East behind the Yankees. So there's no way they're going to come back against the Yankees. But when it comes to the wild card, Minnesota is right behind them, but at 2.5 games. It's a big difference from what we talked about on episode 37, Joey. I believe they were within like a game to a game and a half back, or maybe 2 games back. Now being 5 games, back, or 2.5 games back pretty much from where they're at now it's still they're 5 games back from getting in, 2.5 games back from the Baltimore Orioles. So when you think about all that, they're really, really kind of out of it, in my opinion, when it comes to the Twins, the White Sox, and the Red Sox when it comes to that third wild card spot, because the White Sox and Red Sox are 7 and 7.5 games back. And Minnesota's 5, Baltimore's 2.5. They're the only ones I see contending with that last spot, with Tampa Bay or Toronto knocking them out of the wild card potential spot of the AL East.
And something to keep in mind is that looking at their schedule, they still have one more game against the Athletics. And then they play the Tigers, they play the Red Sox, they play the Nationals, and they play the Blue Jays, who are pretty good, but they're playing meeker teams. Like, they're not really playing like, the absolute studs. They do play the Yankees one more time, and, that's going to be a really fun series to watch, especially considering it's the second to last series of the year. But they're playing teams in theory that they should beat, and so, like, for the most part, when you look at that schedule, it doesn't look like a difficult mountain to climb. When you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, they play harder teams than what the Orioles do. And I think that at the end of the day, the Orioles have an easier path to the playoffs than what some of the other teams do. I feel like they genuinely are just going to make that push. They're going to be like, hey, like we're only 2.5 games out. Like we got this. And they're going to make a push. They're going to barely squeak in, but I think they'll squeak in. I think they'll do better than what we think that they will in the playoffs. But like, I don't think they'll probably get knocked out in the first round. But I mean, it might take all of the games to get there.
Yeah, and I think with what you said as far as the way the schedule is with this season, I feel like we're not going to be able to say that as much with the way things are constructed with starting next year, where you play everyone. So it's a lot less of who has the easier schedule because it's going to be a little bit more balanced when it comes to that. It just makes those divisional games a little bit more impactful when you have those 13 instead of 19 games.
Right. I absolutely agree. Yeah. When you look at they're kind of like half and half with division opponents and not divisional opponents. But I mean, you think if you take some of those divisional opponents out and you put in a team like, maybe the Dodgers or the Padres or, some of the teams in the National League that are like really good or the Mets, like that schedule goes from an easy schedule to a, maybe the Orioles don't get in just because the schedule is a little too difficult for them to get over that hurdle. So we'll see how that plays out.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how that plays out with the Orioles, and I hope that maybe in the next couple weeks or so, maybe we can talk, some more positivity when it comes to the Orioles. Speaking of that and some lucrative positivity, let's take this into round 3.
Round 3.
And here with round 3, we take this into Seattle with the long-term contract extension of Julio Rodriguez will pay dividends for the Seattle Mariners for years to come. How do you feel about this, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this?
I am in. And here's why. So as far as like how the contract plays out for those individuals who are not familiar with what it looks like. So the base deal of this contract is for $120 million, which, for the standard Joe Schmo is a lot of money. But when we're talking baseball money, it's a little different. $120 million is not a lot of money for a primetime superstar like Julio Rodriguez. And it goes all the way through the 2029 season. So that's a pretty fair deal for a young player who is still trying to get his footing in the majors. After the 2028 season, the Mariners have the option to add an additional 8 or an additional 10 years, depending on how they feel based off of his play, how they feel based off of his off the field behavior. So far he's been, a really good player both on and off the field, but you never know how that's going to look like at the end of the 2028 season. And then from there, the Mariners can option him, for those years and make an even smarter deal by, adding, it's another $350 million to that contract, which would, as of right now, make him the highest paid baseball player ever. I think that as far as like the money per year deal goes, it makes sense financially because it's very controllable. You think about some of the contracts that have gotten just absolutely out of hand. Like, Max Scherzer right now is making like $43 million a year. And he deserves every penny of that, but that's a lot of money to pay out one player per year. You can, the way that I look at this contract is you can control Julio Rodriguez for a really, really long time at a pretty reasonable price, especially with him he's going to be a superstar. He's a stud.
Make some very solid points, but I have to respectfully disagree. I am out. All right, guys. This kid is a rookie. All right. I know you're trying to lock him up and do the right thing by locking up a 21-year-old through the year 2034 with a 12-year potential extension with this kid. And I do, however, agree with some things Joey was saying as far as the way they constructed this deal and how they're paying him now. They're trying to take advantage of it now and pay him now before he keeps doing these great things, and it makes that number go up. However, I feel like he hasn't even played a full rookie season yet. He just started this year. Why are you going to give this kid a $210 million on paper when he's only been a rookie at 21 years old? Okay. Nobody in the history of the game has done that before, has just showed up. Johnny Go Blank Yourself has showed up at 21 years old and gotten $200 and some million and hasn't even played a full rookie season in the majors yet. Of course, you've set some records. Of course, I've got a highlight video to play here in a minute that'll make you fans out there see if you agree with my man here about being in or out. I just have to disagree with this just because of the fact that he hasn't finished a full season yet. And with that being said,
Drew, come on. He's an all-star. He made it to the final round of the home run derby. I mean, like, statistically speaking, he is one of the best rookies that has ever stepped foot on a baseball field. Like, when you're looking at the way that he plays the game, I think that it's a great option. I mean, when you're talking, like, he's already making the money that he's making until 2029. And then, like, it's an option. Like, you don't have to offer him the $350. You don't have to, but it's there. And I think, and I genuinely think that the way that the money goes, I really feel like it's a great offer for the Mariners. I feel like they did what they were supposed to do.
You didn't have to pay the man until after the season was over. You could have waited because he could have had when it cooled off outside, and we haven't even gotten there yet. As soon as the colder weather gets here, he could cool off, and then you're going to be like, wow, did we really extend this guy for 12 years when he can't even get through September? How are we going to do in the playoffs because you're planning for playoff runs? I'm sorry, Darrell Owens, a fan of the Seattle Mariners, but I'm not in on this one. I hope the best for him, and I hope the best for this team. I'm not trying to jinx him. I could be wrong here, but currently in this stage, he hasn't finished an entire rookie season yet. And that is my stance on it. And even though you may be right and I may be wrong, that's just how I feel about it. But with guys, watch this 6-minute highlight video and you see for yourself. Is Joey right or am I wrong? Or vice versa, is Joey wrong and I'm right? What do you feel?
Julio Rodriguez leading off the top of the ninth. There you go, first base hit for Julio. He's digging for two, and he's going to get there. Tying run at second base.
We weren't down there. Julio runs, throwing from his knee. Sanchez, no chance. Julio gets up, and he'll get the third.
Cracked into center field for a base hit. Torres around third. He's coming home to score. Kelnick slides into third base.
Home run, his 7th career against the Mariners. Slicing drive, Julio, long run towards the gap. Can he get it? Yeah!
Up the middle, off the mound, into center field. Winker being waved home. Garcia's throw at the plate. Tag applied. Safe.
Could be playing next to each other and maybe batting in front, behind each other. Julio takes off. Steals that bag easily. There goes Julio. No play whatsoever.
Another 3-2. Cracked. Right center field. Tailing away from Taylor. He snags it on a hop. Suarez is in. Crawford sprints home. Julio a headlong slide to second. He bangs his chest. Out to the gap in right center field. And Dozier can't get to it. Extra bases for Julio. He sprints into second. He smoked that to right field. Shot deep. Left center. Julio. Makes the catch. Hard hit. Slammed into the gap in right center field. Toro is in to score. Murphy makes his way to third. Is held there. It's an RBI double for Julio Rodriguez. There he goes. Julio is safe. He's 7 for 7. There he goes. Julio is safe. 8 for 8. Hammered. Blast off. Left field. Number 1. Here it comes. Julio Rodriguez with a mash of a 3-run bomb. And the 21-year-old will touch them all for the first time. It comes in Miami.
Last weekend. Slicing drive. That'll be extra bases and then some. Let the big man run. He's coming to second. This looks like a triple. It's going to be in there with a leadoff triple.
Get in there. Base hit. Julio 2 for 2. He wants to. The throw from Schwarber. Segura's tag, not in time. Hustle. Hard hit into left field for a base hit. Frazier being waved in. The throw from Schwarber, not close. Julio puts the Mariners on the board. This will be pitch number 10 to Michael Brantley. He shoots it out to center. Julio picking up some speed. He can't make the catch. Yep. Well, he did catch it.
He did catch it.
He did.
Julio, a rocket home run to tie this baby up at 5-5. The other way, that works. Jesse Winker getting a wave on, and he's going to score. Julio Rodriguez, back-to-back plate appearances with RBI.
The bases loaded walks and hit batter with the bases loaded.
Julio, deep drive, and that's a home run for Julio Rodriguez. Base hit, left field. Tie scores. JP will get the stop sign. RBI, Julio Rodriguez. 1-0 lead for the Mariners here in the first inning.
Loose in the Mariner pen. Pitch the bottom of the 7th.
Julio to the gap. He's out of the box hard. Extra bases for Julio.
High fly ball. The opposite way. Out to right field. Julio tags it. Gone. Home run.
For several years.
Julio with a high towering fly ball. Pender out of room. Gone. Julio again. Julio taken off. Throw to second. Julio slides in. He's got another stolen base. It's the 13th.
Altuve playing up the middle. This one first pitch swung on, driven deep to right, going back, and it is out of here. Home run, Julio Rodriguez. A hanger. They get banged into the corner. And it'll go over the fence for a ground rule double. Julio Rodriguez on fire.
Streak together. Oh, this is lashed deep towards the new wall in left field, and this bangs off the fence. France pedals to third. He's coming home. Julio throttles down with a double. It's a ribby double for Julio, and 3 batters into the ball game. Julio Rodriguez, an RBI infield base hit. Well, this is shot out towards left field. It has gotten loud in this first inning against Lyles. Julio checks in with a stand-up double.
Series for sure, and that's something that Scott would like to see.
Julio runs, no chance. First, Julio runs, pitch. Taken for a ball, stolen base, ball into center field. Backed up by Garcia, who's got a big arm. No way in the world he was going to take off 2 strikeouts. Julio's going to have to chase this one down. Going deep, running into a wall. Look out here. Oh, baby, he made the catch.
What a great reaction.
So how do you feel about that, guys? Do you agree with Joey or do you agree with me? Are you in or are you out with that? Let us know here in the comments, because right now we are actually about to take this thing into the Medial Mayhem, where we get the comments from the fans to see what you guys think here at the middle of the show. Let's go ahead and take it there. And with that being said, we have some comments right here. Let's go ahead and see what we've got. And it looks like Dark Medea has pulled up here and says, let's go, guys. Also says Joseph is here. And I guess he's a fan of you, Joey. He says he's here. John Kimball says, all MLB. Damn okay with the laughy emoji. Says, yo, afterwards. Well, I guess whatever planet you're on, enjoying your Labor Day weekend. Thank you, John Kimball, for being here. Derek, I guess we'll just that's probably the best way to say it, is I don't like the new format for next year, talking about the MLB schedule. I guess he doesn't like everyone playing each other. He says, with that, says, why play everyone? NFL doesn't play everyone. So, there's only 18 weeks in a season with a bye. You're playing each other an extra game now. So there's an extra game in there, but that would be a lot of weeks in the NFL season and a lot of punishment on bodies the guys would have to take if they played every single team in the NFL. That's a lot different than playing 162 games in a season for baseball.
I'm no NFL expert, but isn't there 32 teams in the NFL and there are 2 more in the MLB?
Yes.
So it'd be 32 weeks of football. I mean, that is a lot of football.
John Kimball thinks Derek has a point, guys. I'm going to let you handle this one. How do you feel about
I mean, as far as the Orioles go, I mean, you can have your opinion, but I mean, as far as like a team's perspective, I mean, they're a good team. I mean, I'm not an Orioles fan by any means. I'm Cubs, Yankees, but yeah, I mean, the way that they're playing this year, they're better than suck. That is for sure.
I would definitely agree with that. I would have to agree with that part as well. John Kimball comes back with, I agree with Drew about Julio. Okay. Well, I will go ahead and give you this. You kind of deserve it after that, John Kimball. However, Derek agrees with Joey.
Yes.
So I guess he gets a yes, too. Yeah, because I mean, you agreed with Joey, so I mean, you got to give you that. John Kimball fires back with "You're wrong, Derek."
Wow.
That's kind of jacked up. I mean, I don't know what you got going on over there, but I guess it's one of these situations.
You can't handle the truth.
Because it's just one of those situations. Even Derek fires back with, what the father? We'll say he says, what the father says. Derek Medea talking about John Kimball firing back with, you're wrong, Derek. And we got to go with this.
Damn!
And a little bit of that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Absolutely.
That's
Ain't
the vibe
nobody
that I get from that comment.
Yeah, like they're firing back each other on YouTube, man. They are going back and forth with that. But with that being said, you know, we've gone through now 3 rounds of the In or Out Sports Debate. We've covered those first 3 rounds. Let's go ahead and take this into round 4 and see what we got cooking for that.
Round 4.
And with round 4, let's go ahead and take this into the By the Number segment. For episode 43, Dennis Eckersley is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 43 in sports history. How do you feel about this, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this?
Dude, we talked about this a little bit before we went live. This was so hard for me because there's so many great athletes to wear the number 43. So many. I'm going to have to go with out. Only because, I do believe that if we're talking greatest of all time, gonna have to go with Troy Polamalu. The man played 8 Pro Bowls, played all 12 seasons for the Steelers, and as you know, we talked about last podcast that I did. I love someone who plays for the same team for their entire career. I know a lot of times, this is a business and it doesn't get to work out that way, but I do respect that. We're talking 32 interceptions, 577 solo tackles, 196 assists, 12 sacks, and scored 5 touchdowns and played in 8 Pro Bowls. I mean, you just can't. There's just a value to that you just can't, really say that he's not the greatest to wear 43. Although Dennis Eckersley, I mean, the dude is so good. I mean, career WAR of 62.1, 197 wins, ERA of 3.5. I mean, and then when he went to go be a closer, he was even better. And oh man, if we were talking like most entertaining players to watch, I mean, even then it would be such a hard, choice. I mean, the two are just so good. I mean, they are literally like 1 and 2. I mean, really, it's like 1A and 1B, like for real.
Joey. I agree with the fact that I'm going to say what I'll say in a second, but it's for a totally different reason. I do agree with the fact that I am out. However, you do bring a great response with Troy Polamalu. I feel like when it comes to sports, everybody wants to neglect NASCAR a little bit. And when it comes to the number 43 is iconic in NASCAR, and that is for Richard Petty, who raced for 35 years. Raced for 35 years in the sport of NASCAR from 1958 to 1992. That is a long time. That feels like almost a half a century with the amount of time I just said. From the 50s to the 90s, raced through 4 different decades, man, and 4 different evolutions of vehicles. Granted, there were some rule differences back when he was racing in his earlier day. I mean, there were some things that he probably did that made rules what they were. Because rubbing's racing. You got to do a little bit of rubbing to get in there. You got to do a little bit of tinkering with the motor to get a little bit further ahead. However, 35 years. The Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II of NASCAR goes to Richard Petty before even Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II existed, let alone born, let alone getting through the 70s. And then Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II was alive for the latter part of Petty's career, but Petty was already established and was still to go to NASCAR. And he was number 43, best to ever represent 43. Troy Polamalu did do great for the number 43, did have 8 Pro Bowls, as you said, was a first-team All-Pro 4 times, 770 tackles, 12 sacks, 14 forced fumbles, and 32 interceptions in a career that spanned from 2003 to 2014. But 1958 to 1992, Joseph Raymond, and I'm going to call you Joseph Raymond right here because I'm telling you, even though we're doing all baseball here, and I love Dennis Eckersley, and I love what Eckersley did in his time frame in his 23 seasons from 1975 to 98. He had a long career, too, of all these people we're talking about. You definitely have to give him his nod. He's in the top 5. He definitely probably in the top 3, in my opinion. I feel like, in my opinion, it's Petty, it's Polamalu, and then it's Eck, okay? Because Eck was his nickname. Got to give it to Eck and the love of the top 3.
He was
I don't have him at 1.
Pitcher. He really was, but at the same time, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying this to like discredit anybody, but I mean, he was a pitcher as far as, if we're talking athletes. That's why I didn't give it to Petty because, I mean, again, NASCAR drivers are athletes by every set of the word. However, if we're talking greatest athlete, I do believe that Troy Polamalu is the better athlete of the 3.
Yeah, I mean, you do bring up a compelling argument. I'm not mad at it. That's why you saw me hold back. Sometimes I've gotten really animated, as you guys will see in the best of episodes, and you'll see tomorrow in episode volume 6, best of episodes 26 through 30. You'll see those potential moments happen. But with this, I went lightly on my guy here because he did have a good pick. But I'm just saying to everyone in sports in general, we all seem to forget about NASCAR. And NASCAR's face for the longest time, and even still potentially to this day, is still Richard Petty with 7 championships.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, by every stretch of the word, I mean, he is like, I mean, again, 1A, 1B, 1C for real. Like, but at the same time, if we're talking athlete, I think Troy Polamalu is the best of the three.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely good, and we'll have to agree to disagree, with that. But with that, we definitely had a great round 4. Fans, let us know in the comments what you think about the round 4's picks for the best by the numbers. Let's go ahead and take this into one last round in the final round, and we got a really good one for you guys with some updates that we just had from recently today.
Final round.
And here with the final round, one of the biggest stories of the summer. It came here quietly. We didn't even know if we would get this far when it came to this guy with what happened in his way out of the Anaheim Angels and then with the Dodgers, but now coming back home. Albert Pujols will achieve 700 career home runs by the end of the 2022 season. How do you feel about this, Joey? Are you in or are you out on this?
I am in. So
my bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. So from the get-go, I have wanted this to happen so bad. And this is coming from a Cubs fan. I think this is great for baseball. I think this is great for every sport ever. For your best athletes to perform at the highest level and break records that should be broken, and to achieve things that should be achieved. Albert Pujols hitting 700 home runs, like, it just sounds too good not to be true. Like, if he doesn't get it, I'm going to be very disappointed. I genuinely believe that the Cardinals are giving him more at-bats on purpose. I think that they're trying to get him there. I think they understand the magnitude of how important this is for baseball. And I feel like they're going to put him into a position to get it. If he doesn't get it, I'm going to be really disappointed. I really do think that he has a shot to do it. Right now, if you look at his pace, if he hits a homer every 5.5 games, he'll get it. No big. And the Cardinals have 27 games left. I just don't see it not happening. I mean, he is such a good, prolific hitter, and I really want him to get it really bad.
Absolutely. I definitely want you to be right here. However, I feel like he's not going to get it. I'm out. Even though the type of pitching that Pujols is facing this September, he's got some favorable matchups in the schedule that he has left here with the St. Louis Cardinals. He did get the 695 today. He definitely has gotten to where he is now 5 home runs away from doing it. So yeah, like you said, now it's favorable, with him hitting what he's hitting in the past couple weeks, where he's gotten over 690 and where he's at now with 695. He's definitely positioned himself well, but at his age, at Winnie the Pujols' age, at 42, which even they feel like that he lied at his age at one point, was older when he actually came to the league. People think he's like 44, 45 in real life. If you go back and do your digging when it comes to Winnie the Pujols, as mentioned by Stuart Scott, that is his nickname. Can't say it enough. That is one of the awesomest nicknames of all time when it comes to Winnie the Pujols. But back to 700 home runs. I feel like as the weather starts to cool off, he's in St. Louis, the pressure's going to be on. He's going to get to about 698, maybe 699. I feel like he's going to get to the very end and be stuck at either 698 or 699. I hope I'm wrong. I really am. Even though they're really billing this as its last season, is a farewell song, I feel like if he gets stuck at 698, 699 in his way as well as he played this season, why the hell not come back for next year? You've done a lot of good for this team. You've boosted this team up, the morale up of him coming back home and having this race. It's been a lot more fun watching him go for 700 and not breaking the record like Barry Bonds did 15 years ago or so when he did it in 2007, 2008. Like, it's been much more fun watching him get to just 700 this year than watching that, because you knew that Bonds did what he did to get to that point. Pujols did it pretty fairly, and he quietly got to this point while with Anaheim and stuck in a contract that he wasn't performing all that well in everyone's eyes compared to what he was getting paid. And that's why I say what I say about Julio Rodriguez, because you're locking him up at an earlier age. Yes, you might get a decent amount, 5 or 6 years out of that contract where he's still playing well, but you've only haven't seen him but for half a season in the major leagues. I don't understand why, even with what he's done with that highlight reel, why you're paying the man already when he hasn't finished the season, let alone winning the Pujols here. I want him to get 700. I want to be wrong with this, but I just have a strong feeling he's going to get stuck and ice out at 698, 699. But just for the sake of argument with this final round here on episode 43, I felt like it was necessary to do that. However, guys, we do have a highlight of that home run today that he hit for 695. What do you think? Guys, how do you feel about that with number 695 that Pujols hit earlier? Do you agree with me or do you agree with Joey? Go ahead and let them know in the comments here. We're right here at the end of the show. How do you feel about this before we move on, Joey, with all that being said?
How can you listen to that crowd in St. Louis and not believe he's going to do it? Come on, Drew. I feel like you just don't believe in fairy tales. Like, how can you not be romantic about baseball? Like, I mean, come on.
I am, but it's like, you know, it's very baseball's a rough sport when it comes to that too. It lets you down if you aren't expecting it to an extent. It's much more enjoyable to where when it does happen because it's unexpected in your mind because you didn't get your hopes up. But when you get your hopes up and it doesn't happen, it is a huge letdown. It's a huge heartache, a huge heartbreak. And I'm getting older, man. I can't be putting myself through that. I'm already a Washington Commanders fan, for Christ's sake.
I was going to say, I'm a Hokies fan. That's what we do. We hope, and then we get let down. It happens every year. It's all I can do, bro. Like,
just like SIRTOBA.com up here at the top. The struggle is real to be awesome. And that is how it is with much of these teams out here, whether it is college football, NFL, or baseball. Regardless of how you put it through there, we are struggling out here with some of our teams that we are fans of.
I just want him to get there so bad.
I do too. Like, I really want him to too, but like at the same time, for the sake of argument, because we can't agree with everything, I have to disagree on this, and I have to get up for sound bites, and we have to stay humble here with episode 43 here lurking around.
But I guess one of us has to have realistic expectations.
I'm trying, man. And you are too. We're both trying. But eventually we'll see here in a few weeks who was right or who was wrong. We'll have a highlight reel from this part right here with episode 43. But with that said, let's go ahead and take this into the mayhem culmination and see what we got going on from the fans. All right, guys. So we left off. It is. It very much is. John Campbell, we left off with Orioles still suck, and we were going hard on him with that. But then he goes back with, I agree with Drew about Julio. But we were already talking about Julio and stuff before we came into this. So let me go past this. So past that, when it came to that, he said he was wrong about Julio. And then after that, he was talking about, all right, so with episodes round 4, he said Eck was the best. So he was disagreeing with both of us on that. And this is where it starts to get lit on this. That's why I'm going to go with this from Triple H.
You know, liar.
And then he comes back with WTF, I guess, with what we were talking about. And Derek comes in with give it. I guess he's talking about give it to Petty. So thank you. I appreciate that. Then John Campbell comes back with Drew had a powerful stance on Petty. I side with that. Well done. So at least I'm getting some love here from John Campbell after everything we were getting in the first half of the show. Because when it comes to Petty, man, and when it comes to this, episode 43 and by the numbers, I have to give it to him. He did a lot with that number 43. And when it comes to this, and it comes to some other people, maybe like with what you've got a very powerful stance with that too, with your Troy Polamalu pick. But I don't think, in my mind, you can trump 35 years and basically lay down the foundation of NASCAR for a very good amount of people coming forward from that.
Yeah, no, I mean, he very, very much so is one of the reasons that NASCAR is what it is today.
Absolutely. And with that, I appreciate you with that, and I will give you this. He does come back with this, though, for you. Polly was a beast. I guess talking about Troy Polamalu, giving you some love with that. Joey is right about Pujols. He gets 700 in the next 3 weeks. That is his guess with John Kimball. And definitely he agrees with that. So we'll let you have that one. But when it comes to the next comment, though, Derek says, I think he has a chance at 700, but he can come back next year, too. I guess agreeing with what I had said because he's played pretty well this season.
He is, I mean, he absolutely could come back next year and play very well, but Albert has in several interviews at this point said that he really, really does not want to come back this upcoming season. He said that he's pretty much done. He's done everything he needs to. And I mean, he even himself came out and said that he doesn't really care about hitting 700. Although after watching 695, I don't know. I feel like he cares a little.
I feel like we have to play that, at least the home run, one more time.
The 0-1.
We just see that smile when he came
Dude,
around.
I know.
First.
I was gonna say the dorky smile coming around first base is just so wholesome.
He wants it, and like I really want to be wrong about that. And Derek wants me to be wrong too. I really want Drew to be wrong about Pujols, and I take my hat off. I just, for the sake of argument, I don't want us both to get upset, both be upset when this happens. Even though you said he doesn't want to come back next year, I feel like if he gets stuck on 698 or 699, he has no choice but to come back. And he might not play the whole season. He might just play for the month, and then he'll give up his roster spot to the next person who deserves to be there. I feel like he deserves to get to 700 though, and he might have to come back if that happens. And he deservingly should. He deserves to do that if that happens
this year. I mean, genuinely,
I want it to.
Like, out of everybody on that roster, I mean, if we're talking like a MVP for a specific team, like I think he's done so much to rejuvenate that clubhouse. And, like they already had a lot of like really good veteran players on that roster. And just to watch him, rejuvenate that clubhouse and really bring them to the level that they needed to be. He's just done so well. I really do believe that he is their most valuable player this year. Without him, I don't know that the Cardinals are where they are. And I can't wait to see him in the playoffs. Like it's going to be fun.
It definitely will be fun because, it'll be interesting to see how far this story goes. You definitely love stories from what we've talked about, and especially when it comes to baseball. We will see how that goes. Kimball fires back with Drew is wrong. Derek, I already said that you jabroni. Wow, firing in here with the term jabroni. You have definitely seen other episodes because I guess The Rock's going to have to lay the smack it down right now.
Jabroni. And The Rock says this, Big Show. Did The Rock call you a jabroni? You're damn right he did. He called 20 others a jabroni as well. Shut your mouth and look at The Rock. Read The Rock's lips. Jabroni. Jabroni. ABC. Oh, it doesn't matter how you spell jabroni.
Yeah, dude, when you look at that, when you look at all of that, come on now, stop coming out there and firing out with jabroni. Firing back after that, Derek says, I'm not a jabroni. I challenge JK to a tag team match in my backyard like the chosen one has said. All right, so they are really going back
episode now.
We really need to do this, I guess, guys.
Stay off the weed.
That's absolutely what The Rock would do. So you guys need to simmer down with the comments. Followed by this, they simmer down, I guess, because he's talking about Pujols' beautiful swing. Winnie the Pujols, I love him, is what he says. If you wanted him to do it, why are you out? Yes, I get it, man. I definitely want him to get to 700, but you got to look at it this way. Again, I don't want to get my hopes up and be let down if he gets stuck at 698 or 699. He is putting on a great show and has kept himself in great shape at 42 or whatever the hell his age was. If he did lie when he first came into the league, I don't care. He's putting on a hell of a show. He has 20-some games left. With Joey's breakdown of the stats, he has a really good shot at doing it. However, I don't want to let ourselves both down when it comes to potentially he might not do it. And this will be a soundbite at the end. I'll give it to you if that happens. Derek fires in with, come on, man. Simmer down, Derek, followed by none of that crap, sir. Come on, guys. And lastly, Derek says, St. Louis won't make a run in the playoffs.
Derek, go back and watch the last episode I was on because I went through that. They're not going to make a run in the playoffs. It'll be fun to watch them, but no, that's all. It's a Mets-Yankees thing. Been there, done that. Won't touch that again.
Let's follow that up with one more of these.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Absolutely. Why are we talking about this with you, Derek? I don't know. Thank you for the comment. Thank you, guys. Even though it was a funny battle going back and forth, thank you for the entertainment throughout the show with that. We do have a couple of things left here, and that is first to acknowledge the Vault of Fame with Joey again.
Acknowledge me.
And here with the Vault of Fame, Joey gets acknowledged one more time as now a two-time Vault of Fame inductee here. Joey Raymond is now inducted here again into the Vault of Fame. With that being said, being vaulted up next, again, we have tomorrow the best of episodes 26 through 30 with volume 6 of that edition here at 7 p.m. on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, followed by Tuesday's Double Debate Tuesday, starting with 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Brian Snow of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson will be here for episode 45, followed by James Brown that evening at 8:15 p.m. Eastern that Tuesday for episode 45. We are here still for episode 43, and the major thing that we have left is to go into the final word. And with the final word out of everything we've discussed on this episode, or just anything in sports or baseball in general, Joey, what's on your mind? Go ahead and get it out here with the final word.
For starters, my Hokies better win next week. I'm really excited for football season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Especially watching Brent Pry and all of his stuff, and we talked about that a little bit last week. I was really disappointed with how the Old Dominion game turned out, but at the end of the day, I really feel like that we are a better team than what we showed against ODU. As far as baseball goes, just kind of recapping. I mean, at the end of it all, you're talking I really do feel like the Orioles will make it into the playoffs. I feel like the Cardinals are going to go to the playoffs. I mean, they're going to win the Central. It's going to be really fun to watch the playoffs this year. And we'll definitely have to I'll get on here more and we'll talk more playoff baseball, especially as it creeps closer. And definitely talk about who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's last one in, who's last one out. But I'm really excited for this year's playoffs. I'm going to be watching a ton of baseball. I mean, I already do. I literally have baseball on all the time, nonstop, constantly watching it. But it's going to be a good time to see who's in, who's out, and who's doing what.
Absolutely. And, that's definitely a great take with your final word. I'm going to go in a different direction and go outside of baseball and actually go into tennis. And with Serena Williams, her career basically coming into an evolution is what she likes to call it. That she's not, I guess technically not fully retired. If you want to look at it that way, she could potentially, show up at some point and do some potential part-time stuff. But, with the way that she's been talking about it, she's looking forward to be moving on, at some point, kind of like what we talked about with Albert Pujols, and was knocked out of the U.S. Open here recently this week. So with the culmination of a week and start of a new week, she got to the third round of the U.S. Open on Friday, and she lost, and she made it all the way into September. and her tennis season and career at this point is now finished. But she definitely leaves a mark at age 40. She came into the league, she was playing tennis as a youngster in the 90s, worked her way on up with her sister Venus, and together as a duo, they were the best in mixed doubles together, and she had a career record of 27-4 and definitely made a huge impact when it comes to the sport of tennis. Not only that, but breaking barriers when it comes to racial barriers as well, when it comes to tennis as well. Althea Gibson was the last African-American to really make a huge impact in tennis, and the Venus and Serena Williams both came in together, sisters, and breaking barriers and doing things big in the new millennium, late 90s and throughout. Venus in the late 90s, Serena more so in the early millennium up until this point in 2022. So they've definitely made a huge impact in the legacy within the sport of tennis. And even though we did an all baseball episode with the final word, I wanted to at least leave it on a good note because this all happened within the past weekend, and we are here on Sunday at the culmination of the weekend. So definitely want to make sure we got that in there for our final word.
Sierra Williams, if she wore the number 43, she would have been the greatest athlete to wear the number 43.
But luckily in tennis they don't have numbers, so we'll at least keep it with that. We definitely get lucky with that.
I saw a really cool stat where it was I don't remember what day it was, but it was Albert Pujols hit a home run. Serena Williams won a tennis match in the Open. And then Craig Biggio,
Craig Biggio, and Dante Bichette. I know you're talking about. It was Craig Biggio and Dante Bichette, and then Kevin Biggio and Bo Bichette, I guess, were the ones that hit it in the same day, as well as the same exact thing that their fathers did, along with Serena Williams and Albert Pujols. From 2001 to 2022, it was a crazy stat. I wish, and now that you say that, I wish I would have had that available for this episode because that'd have been a great graphic to have. But yeah, it's a wild stat, and it just goes to show that genetics in baseball, and it passes on through, and just crazy with timing, and everything works out for a reason. So it was definitely great to have that on there. It was definitely great to have this episode 43 and talk a lot of baseball with my guy Joey Raymond here. We definitely had a great time here with you guys for an hour. Him coming back from episode 37 to now with episode 43. Look forward to getting up with him here again soon. Talk some more baseball. And other than that, guys, we only have one more thing left to do. And that is we'll look at one more badass outro on the way out. For my guy Joey Raymond here, I'm Drew Willingham. Everybody stay safe out there in these streets.